It's up to
It's funny because I said we about to go.
New York, New York.
Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on YouTube. Today is like no other show we've ever done before because today is the first day of the New York Knicks reign. Orange and blue skies forever. The Knicks, our Knicks, shatter a 53-year-old curse, a 53-year-old drought, and stomp out the San Antonio Spurs for a third consecutive time in the Alamo behind Jalen Brunson's 45 points. Captain Clutch shows everyone why he gets that name. And this is a glorious day, Mr. Idris Salam. Today, we are the champions. Today, we can now think about how do we keep this going and make sure that for a ninth consecutive year, there's not a new NBA champion because no one has repeated over the course of the last 8 NBA finals. We're going to get into the deets of how the Knicks pulled this off, not just yesterday, but we're gonna talk about this Leon Rose era. We're going to hit on the pain and disturbances of parts of that drought as me and Idris experienced a large part of it. To the newer Knicks fans who are younger than us, this is great. Just like the way a lot of Patriot fans who were younger than all of those people that suffered, or Eagle fans, or anyone that's been winning championships lately that has a younger people, this is beautiful. I have no words, but I have plenty. It's brought to tears, bro. Nothing else to say about that part. Literally brought to tears yesterday. And one thing we take serious about this show, we always want to be authentic. So I ain't gonna not record because I wasn't crying it out. There was a lot of years on those tears. But with me as always, Idris Salam, aka Bosco from the Bronx, my co-host.
I got some bars right quick. An old friend of mine wrote. I mean, I didn't know him, but I knew him. I felt connected to him. This is what he said: "Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. Let's hear this. I wanna be a part of it. New York, New York." One more paragraph. Hold on. These vagabond shoes, they're longing to stray right through the very heart of it. New York is always starting shit. Dude, I'm hyped, man. I ain't had no sleep.
Bro, I did have
I've been
sleep,
up
and
all
that's
night,
why
man.
I did finally go to sleep after watching about 3 consecutive hours of NBA Finals coverage. And all right, how do we get here, Idris? Let's talk about yesterday's game first. Jalen Brunson, just a monster game that is indicative of what makes people, you have great and then you have legendary. And now Jalen Brunson gets to stand on a mountain of NBA Finals and the word legendary. You're going to start hearing about his comparisons to performances of yesteryear, whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's Knicks color commentator Walt Clyde Frazier, Isaiah Thomas, another great point guard, had his moment in the sun, as did Magic Johnson, many moments in the sun. Jalen Brunson did something yesterday where he put the entire team on his back. Jalen Brunson, in an uncharacteristic low scoring game for the NBA, drastically low scoring. Neither team even scored a basket through the first 2 minutes. That was crazy.
Insane.
But Jalen drops 45. The rest of the Knicks dropped 49. That alone should tell you that Brunson had to take the game over, and he did. 14 of 27 from the field, which is over 50%. He was phenomenal, Idris. He was truly phenomenal.
Yeah, shouts out to Jalen Brunson. Shouts out to Rick Brunson. Happy birthday. Your son gave it to you. He gave it to us. He gave it to New Yorkers worldwide. Yeah, Brunson, because our bench didn't score its first points until the final seconds of the third quarter. The bench didn't really give us nothing. But with Brunson, like me and you spoke offline, I have to give him to be the greatest Knick of all time because, like you said, he outscored our team, the whole team. He took over that fourth quarter like he does. He put it in his hand like, so I got this, y'all. I got this. Y'all just stay with me. And that's what he did. He got us that win. And him, I like the way when he saw the mismatch with Wemby, he took it to Wemby because he knew he had the size advantage over Wemby. And you say, how? Because he's much shorter. He's over a foot shorter than Wemby. So Wemby, a big guy guarding a little guy is real tough until you get into the paint. And see, he was able to do that to Wemby time after time. And it's not a knock on Wemby. He's still young, still a little awkward. But Jalen Brunson took it to their best play because he knew he had the mismatch. And that helped. Because if you look towards the end of the game, even Mike Breen said it, Richard Jefferson said it, Leg said it. They looked tired. Wemby looked very, very tired. Where the Knicks, they looked fresh because we went so deep. And I gotta give props to Tibbs, even though he didn't win the championship. Tibbs put that in them, that toughness in them to go 40 minutes, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever.
Yes, he did, and I
put
did
that
not,
in them.
And when winning this championship, there was not a part of me that didn't think about that as well, because whenever you're a big time fan of an organization for a long time,
yeah,
and you go a hot minute without winning one. In my case, this is the first time, as many people, the first time that we've seen the Knicks do this. With championships, whether it's the Yankees breaking a drought back in 2009, that was a drought by their standards, a decade-long drought, or whether it's the New York Giants when they won in 90, breaking a long drought, or rather 86, excuse me, or 07 breaking a long drought. You do a lot of reflections as a fan. Of course, I'm not reflecting on anything in 86 because I had baby teeth. But 90 was my first experience with the Knicks. Then with the Giants. Then you go to the 2007 miracle season. The Rangers, a 54-year drought that I was very aware of because my father, rest his soul, would always tell me about the pain and frustration of being a Ranger fan. So 94 was special. 94 was a weird time because the Knicks were in the finals the same week as the Rangers. And, unfortunately, we didn't get two parades.
Right.
We ended up getting just one. And then the baseball strike happens to the Yankees, and Don Mattingly gets screwed out of a potential World Series appearance. So what could have been a trifecta of sorts ended up just being one. Then you have, of course, you have the dark ages of the Knicks. This is post Patrick Ewing. That's why this meant so much because, you're going to have all kinds of debating, kind of like Rick Brunson said yesterday at the post-game presser with Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, and Charles. And, when a father is looking at his son and in front of his son and saying Patrick Ewing is still the greatest Knick of all time, that is also keeping it grounded. You just won an NBA title. You just went for 45 in a closeout game, tying the great Michael Jordan.
Yep.
And your father's over here saying that you're still not the greatest Nick, and you got to do more to jump Patrick Ewing. And whether Rick is right or not is not what's up for debate. It's that he is
Right.
still motivating Jalen,
Exactly.
even at the height and the pinnacle of his profession.
Right on. And that's great because he probably feels that Jalen is the greatest Nick, you know, but that's that humility and that's that hunger saying, look, we know what you are,
It's
but you
kind of
can be
like the
better.
Mike Tyson Muhammad Ali thing when Mike Tyson and he appeared on Arsenio together,
Yeah.
and they tried to get Tyson to kind of show any bit of an ego and say that he's the best, and
Right.
he gave it back to Ali, and Ali gave it back to Tyson, saying, "I'm not getting in the ring with him if I was able to."
Yeah.
And it's a dual respect and a dual love. It's hard to not be more happy rather for
Hmm.
anyone more than Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
Seeing Patrick Ewing post game in their own private photo shoot,
Yeah.
holding the Larry O'Brien trophy while Jalen held the MVP trophy.
Yeah.
In order for that to hit completely, you have to have lived through it
Yeah.
and see, Patrick Ewing carry this organization for a decade plus in his prime, aging, having one last warrior stand, but unfortunately tearing his Achilles against these same Spurs.
Yeah.
So when you say that things come full circle moment, things of that nature, this is exemplary of that on so many levels. And I'll even go as far as saying that this New York Knicks team, and I'm not saying it because they're my team, I'm saying it because I really think it's debatable and true, possibly, could
Hmm.
be the most likable NBA champion that has ever won.
You know what? I agree. You know why I say that? Let's take the fans out of it because fans are going to be fans, and we do have some knucklehead fans in our thing. That's like everybody else, but we got some clowns. But let's take the fans out of this, and like you said, let's go with the team. This team, unless you just hate the Knicks and you hate New York, you're going to disagree with what I'm saying. But this team, and this is not from a homer stint, this team has showed the professionalism and intestinal fortitude that makes you a champion. And they've shown how basketball should be played. After the first win, they stay focused. No, we are 0-0. We got a long way to go. Game two, same thing. Game three, same thing. Game four, same thing. It's like, no, this game, it was that mama mentality Kobe had. This is not over. It's not over until the clock has 4 zeros on it. And that's the
Mhm.
mentality they had. They're likable because, and I don't mean to steal the thunder, but I'm too hyped and I got a lot to say. And there's gonna be more being said because we got our own individual reels that we're putting out. So y'all keep track of the Rich Age Junior Sports Podcast. Because we are hyped, we're lit, we're doing our thing. That's besides the point right now. I'm getting back to what I was talking about. Please excuse me because I'm so damn hyped because we're world champions. But anyway, the team play basketball like basketball should be played. The team is united. They're close. They're humble. God, it's like we don't have a big star. We got Brunson. We got Cat. We got OG. But who on that team is a Hall of Famer? You will only say Brunson at this point. We
And
put
the
in
way the Hall of
pieces.
Fame, in my opinion, has kind of
Yeah,
lowered the standard a little. And listen,
yeah,
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but there are certain players of yesteryear that are not in the Hall where I think the criteria has been lowered. But the same could be said about Cooperstown.
right.
Listen, Karl Anthony Towns had a solid first two games of the series, and then little by little he started being xed out of the game in large part
Yeah,
due to lack of discipline and foul trouble. We don't get
yeah.
here without Cat. I want to make that clear.
We don't get here without Cat.
Even yesterday, with only 2 points, those 2 points ended up being important because it's the difference between that Wemby attempted three at the end being a
Yep.
potential game tire as opposed to a desperation three where then they got
Mhm.
to hit another miracle shot if they were even fortunate enough to hit that. Now, the Knicks gave me anxiety with missing some free throws down the stretch,
Oh
but that's to
man,
be
yeah.
expected. That's a different
Nervous,
kind of pressure, different kind of pressure
nervousness.
down the stretch. But truthfully, once Mitch grabbed that offensive rebound off the ground, there was no doubt
Yeah,
in my mind that at that point the Knicks were going to win it.
yeah.
At that point, it's just natural nerves, things of that nature.
You know
We got
something,
Rolling
man?
Dog joining us here. Let's go. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yes,
what up,
sir.
Ro? Hell yeah. You know about Mitch? Mitch is that player you have to have. He's not going to get you these points, but Mitch is that guy. I don't want to call him the anti-cat because that would be like basically saying he's against cat. But I'm saying it in a way like cat is the finesse guy. He
They're
can
two
body you and
completely
everything.
different players. Two completely
Right,
different
but
players.
right. But Mitch
Yes,
is that guy. Yeah, Mitch is that guy who he does all the stuff that everybody else doesn't have to do. Rebounds, block shots, getting away, bodying up. Because he can defend, he can block shots, he can do all that. You give him the ball down low, he's gonna put it in the basket. So he's
indeed.
that guy that you have to have. That helps your big man like a cat who's more finesse. That allows him to do what he does best. Because he don't have to get down
Indeed.
and bang with it. Go
Indeed.
ahead, Rich. I'm too hyped, man. Go
No,
ahead.
you're fine, Idris. There's no script for this one. We want to keep it honest around here. This is what I'm going to say.
Whew.
You
Yeah,
have a captain in Jalen Brunson who takes a legitimate pay cut. You're able
yeah,
to pay a swingman, power forward, but a very versatile power forward, an
yeah,
undersized power forward, versatile power forward, a defensive-minded power forward in OG Ananobi, who going into Game 5 was also a legitimate candidate to be the MVP. And that tip in Game 4 will forever be etched in the memories of all New York sports
yes,
fans, along with plays that you've seen, whether it's 62 Aaron Judge, whether it's Mr. November Jeter, whether it's Reggie Jackson hitting three
yeah,
bombs in the
yeah.
World Series, whether it's Mark Messier's guarantee in Game 6 in New
Mess,
Jersey,
mess, mess. Yes.
whether it's David Tyree's helmet catcher, Mario Manningham's sideline catcher, Joe
Preach
Namath's
it.
guarantee, or the
Preach it.
86 Mets, who and a lot of people feel are one of the best single season baseball teams, but they were not
Yeah.
able to keep it together for an extended period of time.
Right.
Or if you're going to the amazing Mets of 69,
Yeah.
the 61 Yankees, the 27 Yankees. New York has all kinds of iconic teams over the years.
Yeah.
But where the Islanders won 4 in a row, I'm not going to deny that. The point I'm making here, Idris, is
Hmm.
that when you make it in New York on the grand stage, whatever sport you play,
Yeah.
time moves and time moves and time moves and life goes on. But you are
Right.
forever recognizable in your city once you hit
Right.
the pinnacle like no other city in the world.
Right.
And Jalen Brunson has done that. And in addition to that, as far as I'm concerned, right now at least, he jumps
Hmm.
my favorite New York Yankee, number 99, Aaron Judge, my current favorite Yankee.
Hmm.
And I'm sure there's nobody happier than number 99 as these two have a good rapport. And this is motivation, a healthy motivation
Hmm.
in the city now where Aaron Judge is like, wow, Jalen did it. I got to do it now. Then you got a young New
Yeah.
York Giants team that's just around the corner with a championship head coach that Jackson Darton could be like, wow, we got to do it now. So this could
Right.
potentially be contagious because we've seen it in sports
Yeah.
where when a team breaks a curse, all of a sudden you have other teams in the mix on that level.
Yeah.
But okay, so you bring in a Jose Alvarado. He's been a Knick for the second part of this season. Brooklyn boy.
Yes.
You you know you bring in a Karl Anthony Towns 2 years ago in the Julius Randle Dante DiVincenzo deal because the
Yep.
Knicks needed a formidable big man, a guy
Yep.
that is multi versatile, whether it's from outside or a lot of people have criticized his game. He's too soft. He had moments where he took it to Wemby. I already
Yep.
mentioned OG with the Brunson pay cut, how you could pay him. A couple of
Yep.
years ago, they make the Josh Hart deal. You
Yep.
you make a deal with Brooklyn that was scrutinized because everybody's like, oh, they gave up too much for Bridges. You unify the three of these Nova Cats, 4 to be exact.
Hmm.
DiVincenzo may be back one day. He was visible supporting this team on crutches.
Yep.
You make sure that you do what you got to do to keep Mitch Robinson. You make a couple of draft picks for the future. You bring in Huck Bordy. You bring in Dadier. You bring in Kolick. Guys that could be part of a winning culture down the road that are practicing with the regulars every day, that do
Yeah.
not have a lot of action, but when called upon, they were ready. And they are part of Knicks culture now, which was passed from Tom Thibodeau to Mike Brown. Mike Brown,
Yeah.
I think it was said best by the ESPN crew yesterday.
Yeah.
Mike Brown took time to learn his team. That's why
Yes.
Not everything was pleasant. You know, Rick Brunson being retained, a
Yeah.
huge
Huge.
bridge. A bridge is a word
Huge.
that we like to use.
Yeah.
We like to use the word bridge when it comes to baseball, when we talk about getting to the closer.
Yeah.
Rick Brunson was a bridge from Mike Brown's mouth and Mike Brown's words and wisdom to his new players because Mike Brown has a great resume.
Yeah.
But we have seen great coaches fail with new teams because they refuse to adapt to the new talent.
You know something?
Look no further than the guy that Mike Brown is right behind for the best playoff series ever, best playoff season ever, Pat Riley. Pat Riley didn't bend enough in 94, and that's why we had to wait 27 more years.
You know something? I liken Mike Brown to Mike Brown. I liken Mike Brown to Mike Brown. But say it again. I liken Mike Brown to Mike Brown. You know why I say that? Because Mike Brown sat under Steve Kerr,
Yes, he did.
made that team defensive, did everything.
Floor
Mike Brown
spacing
took
was also a big part of what he implemented over in Golden State as a
Golden
trusted assistant.
right. And Mike Brown took Mike Brown to New York and he made Rick Brunson Mike Brown.
Not to mention his stops in Sacramento, and he's also a student of
Sacramento,
the game underneath
Cleveland.
the great Greg Popovich, who was in the building
Yes.
yesterday, sitting with Tim Duncan.
That's why I said Mike Brown became Mike Brown. Because how he came up and how he built his coaching career is how he went to New York. The same way. He retained Rick Brunson, and he'll probably tell you himself, Rick Brunson is probably the best thing he did. Because Rick Brunson is that assistant coach where if Mike Brown can't be on that court, Rick Brunson's going to jump right in there, just like with
Now,
Steve Kerr. You know.
now, Roland Dog, this is a good timing for his comment. That's why I purposely waited to put it up.
Uh huh. Yeah.
Because Roland is talking about how he hopes that they're able to keep this extraordinary flow together for the Knicks. So I'm
Yeah.
going to change this here to the segue.
Yeah.
Repeat why the Knicks can run this back and make sure it's not just a one-off. Well, when you look at this roster, Roland and
Mhm.
Idris,
Yep.
basically the only player that you're legitimately in danger of losing is Landry Shamet, who thankfully did not have any structural damage because I did not expect to see him come back last night, and
I
he
didn't
came
either,
back
man. I didn't
for
either.
like the last 90 seconds, which was kind of shocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the NBA will look over some of this film. There might be some fines. There might even be some suspensions for the Spurs when they open the new year.
Yeah.
Now I know that
They
on the
played dirty,
previous
dude.
comment, yes, they did, and I know that on the previous comment, Roland's talking about a potential suspension for Wemby, which obviously doesn't hold the same amount of weight because this is a NBA Finals versus the regular season. And I
Yeah.
will
But that's
say that
why
the
we'd have won
referees,
Game 6, though.
yeah, the referees missed a huge call.
Yeah.
But shouts out Jose R. He said, I don't want to win like that. And I
Right.
understand where Jose's coming from too,
Yeah.
in that sense. But the point to be made here is Victor Wembanyama has now, while he is a superstar and he is a terrific, let me not lose sight of that. He is a phenomenal basketball player. But right now, Victor Wembanyama is getting into a category of being a dirty player
Right.
where, you could go from potential poster boy to looking like a player that now is a legitimate goon.
Yeah.
And that doesn't hold the same kind of weight because listen, I believe what I believe. And I think the NBA did everything in their power to see if the Spurs could wake up and win this thing. And this was a very
Yeah.
close series because the Spurs led most of the series if you go on a game-to-game basis. And the reason why the Knicks won this series is because they were seasoned
hmm
in dealing with more adversity. And that doesn't happen without experience and learning painful lessons. Learning the painful lessons of losing to the Pacers a year earlier.
hmm
Painful lessons of getting just outplayed by a lower-seeded Heat team. Pain of losing to the Pacers in a different series where, in addition to outplaying us, Jalen Brunson had a terrible injury in Game 7. These are all things that contributed to the New York Knicks building that toughness. And to your point at the top of the hour, even though Mike Brown is now the head coach, a deserved shout out does go out to Coach Tom Thibodeau because Tom Thibodeau instilled that toughness in this Knicks team. Guys that
Yeah.
expect to play every minute, guys that are conditioned to play every minute, guys that are down to take a beating and keep going. Mike Brown was able to nurture this roster a little better, and it also helps with the Jalen pay cut because you're able to add players around this Knicks roster that were able to do more. You know, when
Yeah.
you bring in a Jose Alvarado and he has his 15 minutes of fame on the grand stage, you know, at different junctures of this playoff run, Deuce McBride shooting the ball at a good clip, Landry Shamet, a guy who has never been able to stick to a team, proves his worth. At
Hmm.
different junctures, you have OG Anunoby playing hero. You got Mikal Bridges playing hero. You got Mitchell Robinson playing superb defense in games where you need him to show up. You know, beating Joel Embiid, a villain of Nick Lore. Beating
Hmm.
the Atlanta Hawks, albeit without Trae Young, but still a very real rivalry with a young Hawks team that Landry Fields, former Nick, has done a great job of putting together. You know,
Hmm.
these are all steps, but to answer the question for Roland or the concern for Roland, I believe that the Knicks are running this back with minimal changes. And the only player that I genuinely think could leave is Landry Shamet because he is a player that a lot of teams are going to want and might be able to pay a little more than the Knicks. But Landry Shamet just won an NBA title and just made a lot of bonds. So I would not assume that Shamet is gone, but I would say that he is a piece that could move. And let's keep into consideration
Hmm.
that Dante DiVincenzo is a free agent after next year. And I would not be the least bit surprised if he returns to the orange and blue.
You know something? I'm glad you said that because you stole my thunder. Damn it. Um, with Shemet, he did great. I mean, the last few games, he kind of went cold, 1 for 11. But people get cold. I wouldn't want to lose him because we see his his play. I mean, even if his shot is cold, he defends. He does everything else you need him to do. I mean, he's one of those pieces that you say you got to have these pieces in place to help the Stars succeed. Um, I would hate to lose him, but I know with the title and what he did in the playoffs, he might be too much for us to get. Now with DiVincenzo, I think we could get him cheap. And see, he's a better defender than Schmidt. He may not
Indeed.
be as great a long ball shooter, but he's more physical. And him getting back with Bridges, getting back with um,
Hart and
Hart,
Brunson.
getting back with Brunson, that would make him better because he'd be like, I want to be a part. And he's a local guy. He's from Delaware.
And
He's a
he's
local
gonna
guy.
be hungry, Idris, because
Yes.
while there is a dual respect for he and Karl Anthony Towns, because whenever you're traded for a player, I said this to my mother off air a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Whenever you're traded for another player, while it hurts because especially with that unbreakable Villanova tie
Yeah.
bond,
Yeah.
DiVincenzo knows that he's in part responsible for this great Nick run because they are not able to. It wasn't just Julius Randle was not enough for the
Right.
Timberwolves. They wanted DiVincenzo. I'm willing to say the Knicks maybe offered Miles McBride. Maybe they even considered Mitch, but they're like, no, we want him. So the fact that DiVincenzo inadvertently is part of building this roster and now he could potentially come back, I liken it to Aroldis Chapman when he got traded for Torres, but basically
Yeah.
had a verbal agreement with the New York Yankees like, hey, try to win the World Series with Chicago, and we're bringing
Yeah.
you right back once you hit free agency. And
Right.
that's exactly what happened. And we've seen this in other sports where you trade a guy that you like. Okay,
Mhm.
here's an example. David Wells and Homer Bush for Roger
Yes.
Clemens.
For Elijah Clemens.
David
Yep.
Wells came back a couple of years after that.
Yeah.
And
I
a
mean,
lot
look
of New
at
York fans were irate because David Wells was a Cy Young candidate. And then you bring in the Hall of Famer Clemens, who didn't have a very good first year while Wells was putting up Cy Young numbers with Toronto, but eventually he came back as well.
we could bring back recent times. OBJ.
OBJ,
You know,
another example. Now, this
OBJ.
one's a little different
It's
because
a little different though. Yeah.
completely different purposes, and it helps that the young core of your team, guys like Neighbors,
Yeah.
guys like Dart, really want this guy in the building. I think Neighbors with the LSU connection,
Yeah.
you know, most receivers are not humble human beings. Let's just keep it a
Right.
buck.
Oh yeah.
These
Oh
are not
yeah.
these. This is a different era. These are
Yeah.
not the Stephen Bakers of the world.
Right.
These are
Touchdown.
not. This is a different era. But for a guy like Neighbors, who's considered a top 5 to 10 wide receiver in the league, and mind you, he didn't even play last year really, for him to want to bring in another LSU legend for the tutelage, for the wisdom, for the big brotherhood, for the mentorship, for all of it that Odell at this stage of his career could bring to a locker room. But getting back to the topic at hand, DiVincenzo, in my opinion, Idris, very
Yeah.
strong possibility that after this season he becomes a New York Knick. They're not going to do anything outrageous and make a trade. I think the Knicks are very confident with what they have moving forward. And I want to make another thing clear. Just because we won an NBA title, my opinion changes none on James Dolan. I am thankful that he
No.
allowed basketball people to do basketball things. But James Dolan did not become a good owner just because
No.
Leon Rose, Mike Brown, and Jalen Brunson brought it home. I want to make
No.
that
He's
very
still
clear.
he's still an ass. I
And
still don't
he's an
like him.
egomaniac.
He's
You
an
don't
egomaniac.
suspend, you don't revoke people's Madison Square Garden tickets because they're saying sell the team. That
Right.
is some dictator type shit, and that's all I got
Yeah.
for him. Now the Charles Oakley situation. Gotta hit on this before I hit on Becky Hammond because I know that Roland needs to be on the show because Roland is almost like anticipating our topics, which is pretty cool. Well, I'm going to rank
Yep.
this New York Knicks all-time list. I'm going to have Becky Hammond in a second, but so we have Charles Oakley
Yeah.
making an appearance in San Antonio, and to anybody that's under the level of confusion, I did a lot of reading last night post game. He is
Yeah.
still banned from Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
James Dolan demands some sort of of an apology, which we all know is not going to happen. But I'm
Uh,
done with Charles Oakley, and I'm going to tell you why.
Yep.
There's one thing to have a problem with a former player and even voice your opinions. After all, this is America.
Yeah.
But when you go out of your way and you call Patrick Ewing a coward on Yahoo
Right.
Sports 72
Right.
hours before they bring this home and you are in the building, I
Right.
don't know what throne Charles Oakley feels that he needs to sit on,
Right.
but it's not Patrick Ewing's responsibility to be your father when you go to
No.
Madison Square Garden, get hella drunk, and act a fool.
No.
Michael Jordan, to my understanding,
Mhm. Mhm.
attempted to play the middleman in some form of a peace treaty
And he was still
because he is
talking shit.
because he's great friends with Patrick Ewing and he's best friends with Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
And Jordan wants this to go to bed because he has a lot of love for both these players.
Yep.
But the thing is, Charles Oakley is turning into a bitter old man. He never forgave anybody for being traded. He's had a vendetta with Patrick Ewing since Charles Oakley got traded from Marcus Camby and Oak, with all due respect. The Knicks were not going to the finals in 1999 with you instead of Ewing, especially with Ewing getting hurt and Camby stepping up the way he did. So let's get that out of the way. Charles Oakley, you were a hell of a defender. You were a hell of an enforcer. But at the end of the day, Charles Oakley, your peak is like 12-10. You ain't no all-star like that. You made one all-star team. You're not carrying an organization, and you're not Scottie Pippen to Ewing's MJ either. Fall the fuck back, shut the fuck up, and be a man and apologize to the previous greatest New York Knick of all time up until last night. I'm done with you, Charles Oakley, and I don't care how many times you come around and want to follow them on the road and act like everybody's doing you dirty. You're a grown man, and everybody's responsible for the things that fly out of their mouth. And when you insult a guy that played with a torn Achilles in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, when you insult a guy that never had the kind of support that Jalen Brunson currently has, or that Walt Clyde Frazier used to have, I'm sorry, Charles Oakley, you are not him.
You know something, Richie? The way I look at it, I think both of them are knuckleheads. I don't trust Dolan worth a damn, and I think Oakley has a lot of culpability in this. You know, look, you went to the. I mean, Dolan is an ass. We know that he's an ass before the incident happened. We know that. He's a piece
My
of shit.
father loved Charles Oakley, but if my father was alive today, he'd be so disappointed in Charles Oakley.
The problem with Oakley is you were drunk and belligerent. Okay, I don't care what stadium, what arena, what coliseum, what venue you are. When you act
offered
drunk,
to help him. Ewing called and said, "Do you
Call
need help?
them.
What do you need?"
right? When you get drunk and you act belligerent, I don't care where you are. you're going to get kicked out, and you're probably going to get banned. If it was me, and it's not me, but if it was me, and going by how I do things, I would be like, look, I would just do an open apology. Look, I'm sorry for my actions. I
But
was
he won't
drunk.
do
Da, da,
that.
da.
He won't do that.
He won't do it. That's the problem. But that's what I would do because I
And he
would take.
says that what burned the bridge was that Patrick
Mhm.
Ewing was supposed to come up to him
No,
and try to talk to him when he was in Cleveland, and he's over here calling Patrick Ewing a coward. If anybody's a coward, it's Charles Oakley, because what's your problem with LJ? What's your problem with Spree? What's your problem with Starks? What's your problem with all these other Knicks? If you're not able
right,
to talk to any of them during the game, it shows that at your core, you are ashamed of your own actions, and you're going to hide behind media outlets and call Patrick Ewing a coward. And Idris Salam, how
Mm-mm.
proudful, how proudful Jamaican people are. And to
Me.
call him a coward?
You know what? That's how I feel with Jalen Brunson because Rick Brunson and Ewing. As someone with those, I mean, I just think it was. I think it was stupid because you see how Allen Houston, the 12 Spreewell, John Stark, everybody is coming together. You got Knicks fans freaking that you never knew. You got Miska Harkisy. You got Taylor
It
Swift.
says everything, Idris, about
Yes.
someone's internal selfishness when you want to be the
Yes.
center of it. Even Patrick Ewing, who in a lot of people's estimations is still the greatest Knick of all time, despite yesterday's heroism from Brunson.
Yeah.
He played the background, even though people love him,
He took the
because
high
he.
road to the stuff too. You know?
Well, that's another thing that people don't understand. I have a lot of Jamaican friends. I'm very
Hmm.
entrenched. I'm very
I'm one
entrenched
of
with
them.
the. I'm very. I know you are. I'm very entrenched with
Yeah.
the pride in that culture, and
Yep.
being a stand-up person in that culture. So for you to call a fellow brother in arms for 10 years a coward, and that man happens to also be Jamaican, bro. That ain't it.
No, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. This is what we say. We say that demand needs feel accountable. Basically saying that man needs to learn to be accountable. So people don't know
Damn
how to
right.
say that demand man feel and be accountable. That's patois. Patois.
And shout out to one of my favorite Nick fans, another
Hmm.
Jamaican person,
Yeah.
Miss Claudette. Oh,
Oh yeah.
I know she's over the moon. I know she's over the moon, and I'm happy for her. I'm happy for
Yeah.
Jose R. I'm happy for so many Nick fans that never got to see this happen that are no longer with us. I'm not going to
Right.
name drop on them,
Right.
but I'm just going to say, all of you, I see you today, and I just want to let you know, like, the beautiful thing, and you said it, Mr. Salam.
Hmm.
The thing about this Knicks playoff run, finals run, is that it brought people together of all walks of
Together.
life, and in such a divisive
Everyone.
time. In such a divisive
Everyone.
time, it's a beautiful thing, no matter what the reason is, because you take, and that's why I talked about this team being so damn likable,
Yeah.
because you have people from everywhere. You got a Dominican in there.
Puerto
You got
Rican. Got a
every
Jamaican.
Puerto Rican. You got everybody in there. You got it
Everybody.
all. The total package, which is exemplary of the city they represent. Now I'm going to talk about ranking all-time Knicks,
Yep.
and then I want to hit on Miss Becky Hammond.
Oh yeah.
At number one, Jalen Brunson. This is the all-time list currently, according to me. I'm not
Uh-huh.
speaking for anyone other than me. Number two, number 33, Patrick Ewing, a man who held it down for so many years with minimal help. I'm a fair person. Some people criticize Ewing for not getting all the help because of his maxed out contracts, which I am also willing to discuss.
Hmm.
Number three, Walt Clyde Frazier, super point guard of the 70s, beating the legendary Lakers led by Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West twice. Number four, Willis Reed. Number 19, my Facebook profile before they banned my ass, was OJ Anunoby and Jalen Brunson equaling the number 19. I had my superstitions ahead of these playoffs. The
Yeah.
Bruiser, the hard worker, Dave the Busher at number 5.
The
I would have
butcher.
Bernard. Yeah, yes, sir. I would have Bernard King a little higher on this list were it not for his very short Knicks tenure.
Yeah.
because I wholeheartedly believe that if Bernard King doesn't have the knee injury and the
Oh
litany of
man.
injuries, he and Patrick Ewing could have been what Chicago was. But it's hard to say
Oh
because it didn't happen.
man. Yeah.
At number 7, Earl Monroe. Earl Monroe at number 7, I'd have him higher. But according to Jesus Shuttlesworth's papa, Jake Shuttlesworth, aka Denzel Washington, aka talking about Earl Monroe, Black Jesus, Earl Monroe was able to showcase all the skills in a Washington uniform, whereas the Knicks, it was a little more controlled, more of a team aspect. But Earl Monroe is a very special player, make no mistake about it. At number 8, John Starks. This is a guy that took the long road to the NBA. This is a guy that was a ferocious competitor, never backing down from anyone, ranging from the late great Drazen Petrovic, ranging from Reggie Miller, ranging from the phenomenal Michael Jordan. Most New York kids had that poster on their wall, John Starks, the dunk. I was one of those kids, left-handed dunk over Horace Grant and Michael Jordan. Unfortunately, that was the height of the season as Mike Lupica poked the bear and the Bulls won 4 straight. At number 9, sharpshooter galore, Allen Houston, a guy that carried this Knicks team in a lot of aspects during those 99 playoffs after Ewing sadly tore his Achilles. Allen Houston with the big shot in Miami. A great Knick. Number 10, the bitter man, Charles Oakley, playing enforcer, playing the physical game along with Anthony Mason, who was essentially his primary backup. Mace was in some ways a point forward. He was a revolutionary player and another guy who took the long road. Rest in peace, Anthony Mason. Springfield Gardens, stand up. Why
Yes,
I
sir.
don't list Melo? Why I don't list Melo? Listen, I got nothing against Carmelo Anthony, but when you gut your entire team and bring in a guy who came in with Dwayne Wade, with LeBron James, and for a while in their careers was
Chris
compared to
Bosh.
these two people.
Chris
Chris
Bosh
Bosh
is
as
like,
well.
yeah.
Thank you. This is my thing here. Carmelo Anthony, while one of the greatest scorers in NBA league history, never made the best effort to perfect his craft as a willing and able defender.
Nope.
And when you look at how much the Knicks gave up to get him, and with the exception of 12-13, where they bring in Jay Kidd, Tyson Chandler, Steve Novak, among others, and you had an Amare Stoudemire who was, I love Amare, but he was a bad signing because of all the injuries.
Yeah.
If the Knicks do not sign Amare, the Heatles would have been the 3 that came to the Knicks because unbeknownst to a lot of people up until a few years ago, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade's agreement was to both get out of their comfort zone and go somewhere else. The reason why they landed on Miami is because the Knicks priced themselves out by giving Amare the bag. And that's why they felt the desperation to bring in Melo. And, I got no bad for Melo. I want to make that clear. But when I think about top 10 Knicks, and I'm not talking about top 10 NBA players or top whatever NBA players, Melo would be ahead of Allen Houston, Charles Oakley, and John Starks. But in a Knick uniform, all those guys played in bigger moments and had bigger moments.
You know what? I agree with you. I might flip Clyde and put him up a little bit more.
And I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, but I'm cool with your list. Because me, I would have Brunson first. I put Brunson, Clyde, Ewing. It gets a little, and then after that, I would take the rest of your list just like that.
The only reason I don't have a problem with my list, but I have no problem with someone objecting and being like Ewing could even be 4 or 3, is that Clyde and a large number of the 70s Knicks kind of anointed Ewing as the GOAT of the Knicks.
They did.
The sheer fact that I think from a humble standpoint, they all felt that Ewing never had the caliber of players around him up until the end, because the Knicks did have the caliber when Ewing was no longer in his prime, where he went from superstar to star.
Yeah.
He was still a star. He just wasn't a superstar anymore. He was deferring a lot of that offense to Allen Houston, to Latrell Sprewell, to Larry Johnson.
Yeah.
And I said this before, I'll say it again. If Patrick Ewing doesn't tear his Achilles in game 1 of the 99 Eastern Conference Finals, the New York Knicks win that series.
It's a whole different, it's a whole different thing. And that, that's going back to can the Knicks repeat? I think they can. I think it'll be tougher next year because, San Antonio is going to be tough. Wemby will sit down and do an offseason, like, okay, this is what I need to do. Now, Pop will be like, look, this is how you work with a big man.
Pop's
Duncan's
going to be making a lot of trips as Duncan is, because they're
and Robinson. Yeah.
They're similar to the Knicks in holding their legends close.
Yeah. So I think they'll be tougher. I think all those in the playoffs. I think now Cleveland, I don't know because they got the highest payroll at the payroll in the league, so they're going to lose a few people. But I think Detroit will be back. I think Philly. I'm not sure about Philly. Um, I think Atlanta will be tough again because CJ McCollum seems to fit in well with that team. So it's going to be tougher. However, I think we can repeat based on our personnel, and we may lose Landry Schmidt, but I feel we can put he's a piece. He's a complementary player, and you can find a
Indeed.
complementary player to put in his place. And I'm not saying Schmidt is not valuable because the guy can shoot his ass off. Okay, but I see Tyler Kolek, local guy, because he's from Rhode Island, and I see his points he put up before he really became a Nick. And because he's in the G League and he was balling. He's a freaking assist leader in college. Biggie, so I think a guy like him will move up because he plays defense. He's tough. He's an attacker. So I think we'll be okay. And our style of play, we literally play team ball. You know, of course, Brunson's going to take over the end where you feel like, okay, I got to take over. But that's what stars do. That's what Jordan did. That's what Kobe did. That's what LeBron does. So I expect that. But we play a team game, pass, to get around till we get the best shot. And that's team ball. So I think we can repeat. I think we'll retool. We'll up our bench again. We got Clarkson, get him back in the groove. Like we picked up Alvarado halfway through the season. And I think we'll stay with our core, especially our local core of Bridges, Brunson, Hart, Cat, even Alvarado. I think we'll keep that because Alvarado and Brunson on the court did wonders for us. So
Now, Idris, I'm superstitious, right? So
yeah,
of course, you're well in tune with the Nick pin and the croc.
yeah.
I'm also superstitious with my game fits for the playoffs. And
Uh-huh.
shouts out to my friend Randy. Randy from the Bronx, big Knicks fan. Happy for you.
Rose,
Happy for all
Rose.
the Knicks fans. Happy for all the Knicks fans. But I was talking with him yesterday, and he said, "Wear your oldest Knicks jersey and don't even hesitate." So I slap on the Patrick Ewing, which I'm amazed I still fit into good from my 15th birthday. Shouts out Eddie. Got me that jersey when I was a kid. But
Yeah.
underneath, because I was going with the black theme, because yesterday I had the mentality that we're going to a funeral, and that was San Antonio's funeral. Underneath,
I want my black.
shouts out David Evans. Shouts out David Evans. He bought me this shirt years ago
Uh,
when we were roomies. Patrick Ewing, the stare down, Michael Jordan. Why is that so iconic to me? It's because it was my first year of being a Knicks fan, and I remember being a little kid before one of
mhm.
my football games, and I'm asking my pops. It was actually voluntary football practice, is what it was, because this was during the late spring, early summer, and I'm
Mhm.
asking my old man. I'm like, why are they like that with each other? I thought they were great friends. He's like, they are great friends, Rich. In the off season, we call that the heat of the battle.
Mhm.
And it instilled that Lions demeanor of what Patrick Ewing was, especially as you get older and realize just how damn good Michael Jordan was.
Right.
So and I said it before, this win is for all those Knicks that came ever so close. I think I did a good job of describing it on Instagram. This is my mama, for those who don't know. I am over the moon with happiness mostly. I shared it with my son, that's me, who had to
Yeah.
hold me up because I was crying like a baby and my knees were weak. Um, I was gonna link up with a friend yesterday, and my parents were like, "We have to have you here." They were convinced that this croc and the whole thing and is good luck. And it just to say I'm over the moon, Idris, doesn't even do it justice. But like Josh Hart says, in terms of his very strong faith, I
Yeah.
try to live life in a sense that I try to remain humble even when things are good. You got
Yeah.
money, money's flowing, things are just hitting off right. I always try to keep a humble demeanor because I think the New York Knicks team has been an indicator of how topsy-turvy life is. And when they can distract you from some of the hardest times seen in this country, whether it's economically, whether it's just pure survival, whether it's the differences of so many people who, at the end of the day, we all have the same worries and fears.
Mhm.
Um, a team like the Knicks that brings so many together is a beautiful thing. And before we hit on Becky Hammon,
Ah,
Yes, sir.
Yes. You know something, Richie? I'm so glad you put the Pope. I'm so glad. You know why? Because he literally blessed us midway through the season.
He certainly did.
He literally blessed us. Because I remember the video where he went through town. He came through, and the guy was like, "Yo, Pope, give me a shout out for the Knicks for the Knicks." And he actually like pointed out to the dude. He's like, "Yeah," and he's a Nova guy. We all know that he's a Nova guy. You know, so Pope Leo, we love you,
And
bro.
shouts out to our friend of the show, Zay Fetty.
Petty Fed.
We had him on a hip hop show, one of my favorite shows we've ever done. On he messaged me early today, asking me what my thoughts if Brunson's the greatest of all time in
Yeah,
terms of a Nick jersey. And Zay was the first one that told me straight up. He said,
yeah,
"Bro, he's gonna cook for you. That guy is great. People don't even realize what you just did." And I
right.
had my reservations about a short point guard. But you know something? Zay was 100% right. Zay's a Lakers fan. But
Oh, I didn't know
shouts out
that.
to Zay. Shouts out to Zay for, yeah, huge Kobe Bryant fan. Huge.
Well, I'm used Kobe too, so yeah,
Yeah, shouts out to Zay. Shouts out to the Pope. And looking forward to being in unfamiliar territory for the first time. Next year, when I go to Orlando and watch this team play, I'm going to be watching the defending world champions play. It's a really cool thing when you're the world champion because it heightens the expectations. You kind of have a mark on your back where everybody's going for you, and you wouldn't want it any other way, truthfully.
yeah.
And I just couldn't be happier. I really couldn't be happier. And this Knicks team is going to be in position to repeat. And I'm willing to go on a limb now and say same time next year, same places. San Antonio Spurs, New York Knicks. Let's run it back again.
Let's run it back, man.
Because I
Um,
think the San Antonio Spurs are going to be around for a long time. Now, when I think about the East, the Boston Celtics still have a window. They got to do a little bit of fine tuning.
uh-huh.
The Indiana Pacers didn't just lose Halliburton. With a healthy Halliburton and with a phenomenal coach in Rick Carlisle, expect the Pacers to get back to competing. We're going to see what the Cavaliers do. Maybe they bring the King back for a third stint.
Yeah,
The Detroit Pistons are not far. They
they're
are
not
not far.
far.
So the East is not going to be no easy thing. And the Orlando Magic are very talented. So it's going to be interesting.
You know, so I'm glad you said about the easy thing. And I want to I want to call out a few people positively, and I want to call out a few people negatively. First of all, call out Charles Barkley and Kendrick Perkins. Shouts out to you two brothers. Y'all picked the Knicks from the start, and y'all stuck by it, even when people pressured you guys, even when guys like Stephen A. Smith and Legs and all of them said, "No, you're out of your mind." And Stephen A. Smith, I don't want to hear your mouth because you were one of the detractors about you. You even showed yourself that you gave up when we were down 29 points or down 20 points at halftime. You gave up. So I want to hear that. But shouts out to Kendrick Perkins. Shouts out to Charles Barkley. Secondly, I want to call out the same people. I want to call out everybody in the media who said the Knicks are not going to make it. Secondly, they said the Knicks had it that we're not going to be Atlanta. We're not going to beat Detroit. I mean, not going to be Atlanta. We're not going to beat Philly. We're not going to beat Cleveland. We're not going to beat San Antonio. And lastly, they said how the East was weak. And once we got to play the West, we're going to go get blown out. It was always something. And now they're saying that it was fixed. These guys don't want to give the Knicks credit. Look, we went out there and beat the Spurs despite the poor officiating that even guys like Mike Breen and Richard Jefferson and Tim Legler and all these others said the officiating was poor. We went out there and won in spite. So here's egg in your face, to use a term. We're the world champions. Period.
Before we get out of here and wrap it up, I know Roland brought this up and it was already at the forefront of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Idris, let's start on your side here. How do you
Yep.
feel about Becky Hammon, the former Liberty legend, who has just been a pure Nick hater?
Well, before I get into her, well, I'm gonna get into her. But for all the broadcasters, journalists who backed up, so she's a great person. I'm not gonna say this. Y'all can. I'm not gonna say that. Y'all can go to hell because y'all would not call her out to where Kendrick did and a few others. Say what you want to say. But they just found a way to shit on Jalen Brunson, going back to when he was signed by the Knicks. Everyone bashed. I wanted Brunson because I was a fan of his father. I really was, even though his
He was a
father
hard
wasn't a great player.
worker. He was a
Yeah,
hard worker.
but Becky Hammond, his egg in your face too, because you've been a hater, and I don't like to use the word hater. I really hate that word because I think people use it just to use it. But Becky Hammond, you need to do what Draymond did and apologize to his face, even though I know Jalen Brunson looked at Draymond like, you are so full of shit. That's how he looked at him. You are so full of shit. And he should say the same thing with Becky Hammond. I don't care if she apologized. No, 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 no. Y'all really bashed this man. It wasn't saying, well, I don't think he's good. He's this. Y'all literally bashed him. So
Now
he's
there's some
egg in your
folks
face
on
too.
Facebook. There's some
Hmm.
folks on Facebook that I wish I had the ability to talk to right now. I'm gonna call one by name
Let me
because
know.
he's
I'll
a
do
man.
it.
Nah, I don't got it. We don't need to. I think the Knicks did the talking for us. But there's one fella in the greater Boston area, Mr. Steven Ridlon, who basically said, now listen, when my playoff bracket came out, my finals
Yeah.
was Cavs and Knicks. Not because I didn't think the Knicks were Cavs and Spurs. And not because I
Yeah.
didn't think the Knicks were going to come out of the East, but because I
Right.
didn't want to put the kibosh on them.
Right.
But I did pick the
Understandable.
Spurs to win the NBA Finals against the Cavs.
Yeah.
Now, my playoff brackets were pretty tight. Now, Rids going into the finals said the Knicks would be lucky to win one game, maybe two. So today's a day that unfortunately I cannot communicate with him directly on Facebook. Now, I'm calling him out because he's a man and we talk to each other over the years and we break each other's balls. I'm not going to do the
Right.
same thing to a woman because I don't believe in that, rattling the cage with women. It's a little different when we disagree. So I'm going to leave that one alone. But
I
all I'm
will.
going to
But
say
yeah.
is, but all I'm going to say is, I think you need a better assessment of what Brunson Ball looks like. Because unlike your Brooklyn Nets, who were the flavor of the month, we here and we got it done. Becky Hammond, I don't really have much to add because I think Idris hit it out of the park. All I'm going to say is apologize, own it, and understand one thing about number 11, the two-time NCAA champion and now one-time NBA champion. He is him. He is him. He is him.
He is him. Period.
Oh, and one last thing before we get out of here.
Hmm.
I want to make one thing clear. I
Yeah.
don't care about anybody's hustle, legal or illegal, as long as you're not a piece of shit.
That's right.
But let me say something, and I ain't gonna name drop either, because we don't have to, because you ain't that damn important.
Yep.
But when you sell something that, let's just say, is a little less than what it is, and when you claim a team from a city that you didn't grow up in,
Oh yeah.
and when you talk down because of a couple of bad apples about the Big Apple, which is the greatest city in the world with the greatest fans in the world, you
Right
deserve every
on.
inch of backlash you get. And I don't give two goddams about your story or about your bullshit. That's all I got. I already addressed this once with this person a couple of years ago, and I said, don't you ever call me out on my fanhood again.
I will address that person when I do my clip later on, and I will address that person by name
That's
because
your
I know
business.
because me and that person got into it yesterday, and I kind of shut that person down. That was our first interaction ever, and I shut that person down. And I know who
Like
you're
I
talking
said,
about.
I don't care about anybody's hustle, and
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hurt nobody, and I'm not trying to bring nobody down. But there are certain people that once in a while need to be reminded what it is.
For
Because
those who know,
I
yeah, good.
understand that this whole Giants affiliation and why you're a fan, but just
Well,
please fall
for
back.
those who know me as Bosco from the Bronx, Idris Salam, y'all know what I do. So
Yes,
stay
indeed.
tuned to and the opinions I have on my clip does not necessarily represent the Ridiculous Sports Podcast. They are of my opinion only.
Just
Stay
make sure we
tuned.
don't get sued. All right, that's all I ask.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna say the
I don't
individual's
want to
name.
get sued at least for a couple more years. In a
Yeah, I'm
couple
not
more
gonna say that
years,
person's name there because you're right about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're tough. They're big tough until they're not.
We're already in trouble on social media on Facebook. We don't need any more. We don't need any more problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it for me, man. Go Knicks, baby. Let's do it again. Run it back.
Roland, make sure to check out Big Bosco Productions. You can find it on Bandcamp. You can find it
Or
on
hey,
Apple
before you go
Music.
that, in fact, if they Google it, I'm on iHeart and all that other stuff too. If they want to stream, I meant to say
Hell
that.
yeah.
I've never said, but yeah. Well, go ahead. Give me them props, man. Go ahead.
Check out Big Bosco Productions, Roland. That is Idris's music, master engineer, producer. He has a jazz album out as well as multiple hip hop albums out. Old Man Energy 3 is actually in production right now, so make it a point to support Idris. Check out what he's doing on that side of things. Also, man, I still am beside myself. I can't believe we pulled this off.
I'm acting a fool, dude. I'm yeah.
Nah, it's all good. No explanation necessary. I think we all but covered it. I really think this was an awesome show for obvious reasons. I think the Knicks are in a great position to run it back. Look for me a little later today, as don't be surprised if Corey Rain and I link up. I still got to get a hold of him. And we're going to be getting back into focusing on baseball. Of course, everything has taken a backseat to this Knicks super run, and I couldn't be any more proud. Also, shout out to Danny James, Little D, who has really unified the city in his own way
Yes.
with his connection and love for the New York Knicks and his opportunity to go viral on many a freestyle over the last few years with regard to the Knicks. Check out this guy. Definitely a phenomenal wordplay lyricist that represents the boom bap era of hip hop. Any and all artists from New
Appreciate it.
York, this one particularly from Coney Island, of course, Idris from the Bronx. I root for all of you guys because that's the golden era of the music that I love.
Mhm.
But shouts out Danny James, and I appreciate you getting back to me and sharing some of your music with me as well. So shouts out to all the Knick fans far and wide all over the world. And we the world champions, baby.
Yes, we are. Let's run it back.
For Idris, I am Richie. If you haven't already, please make it a point to like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. And announcements to come for our next show. And like I said, I got the whole weekend off. I'm happy they ended this. I need to get back to my less fun job. It's been quite the ride. I am so damn happy that I
Yo,
am going to be in
man.
the building. Week 1, Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants, as my brother Richard Dorney told me he randomly has a ticket. So I'll elaborate on that on another time.
Uh-oh. Let me know if he gets another one. I will pay for it. I will pay for it.
We out.
Peace. New York.
Big Nick energy, we ain't playing nice. Kings of New York, ain't no rolling dice. Flexing on these bitches, we the real deal. Ain't no stopping us, this is how we feel. The Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the island of Queens, we ballin' hard. Fulfilling all our dreams, thugging through the hustle. Got that grit and grind in this Big Nick energy, we forever shine. So let them know we rockin'. From the garden to the booth, Knicks in the building, bringing straight up truth. With our heads held high, watch us rise and transcend. Big Nick energy, this is just the begin. Big Nick energy, we ain't playing nice. Kings of New York, ain't no rolling dice. Flexing on these bitches, we the real deal. Ain't no stopping us, this is how we